G'day guys, Josh Huggett here from Joshua Huggett Media, and welcome to another episode of Tog Talk, a show where we talk about stuff. And today, the stuff that we are talking about are photography workshops. More realistically, the photography workshops that I went to recently. One was less of a workshop, more of like a fucking schmooze fest conference thing, where there was lots of people. It was more of like a convention. And then the other one was actually camp photography with Mike Jeffrey, one of my good close friends. So that's what I've been doing the last couple of weeks. If you've been checking out on Instagram, if you've seen like how many stories we've been uploading lately, that's all from that sort of stuff. So it's been busy. It's been a chaotic couple of weeks, probably the busiest couple of weeks I've had in a long time. Even like the wedding season is quieter than the last couple of weeks of my life, where we haven't stopped at all. This is just a home episode today. It is just me. I did actually just spend 2 hours on the phone with Summer Grace from LA. Her episode is going to be airing next week. Today is just a smaller home episode, just us. If you're watching the video, you'll notice I'm back on my 16mm lens instead of the 24. So we've got, like, if I move my arms out too big, it stretches them really wide. But I like this up close and personal nature where it feels like I could almost kiss you. No, maybe not kiss you. Feels like I could touch you because the camera's so close, but you still get the perspective and you can see the whole studio. If you don't watch the videos, I suggest watching the videos. I like the videos. We put a bit of time and effort into them just to make them kind of look more fun, I guess. And you can see my wacky hand movements as well. But again, just forewarning, if you hear me yawning, apparently I only have a tick that makes me yawn in home episodes opposed to all of the episodes that we record. I only seem to be tired when it's just me here. Literally 2 hours on the phone with Summer and nothing happened, like not a single tick. Apart from like my normal muscle ticks, but no other ticks at all. Anyway, let's catch up on what has been the last couple of weeks of my life. Thursday, 2 weeks ago, get on the plane. Red-eye flight, even less. That was like an 8 a.m. flight. So we're waking the kids up at 6. We flew to Sydney. So we went to Sydney for FrameFest, which was a convention. I'd probably call it a convention. It wasn't as much of a workshop. It was more of a convention. Where all brands come together. So it was a 2-day thing. I was taken there by Canon. They brought me over. That was fun. We got to work alongside Canon, which was cool. Do some fun, creative stuff over there with them. But yeah, it was really, I don't know what I was expecting, to be honest. Like if I'm being completely honest, I don't really know what I was expecting. But it was very much like here are booths, here are some classes, here is a camera store at the back, here are essentially a whole bunch of influencers in one room, which was weird. I've never really done anything like that before. I kind of live in this, and I said this recently at Camp Photography, but I live in this weird space in that I'm a numbers guy, so everything I do is all numbers based. I create content on the internet, I put it out onto the internet, I look at the numbers, I make sure the numbers are good, and I make sure that the numbers are going up. And I just want the numbers to sort of go up. But it wasn't until I went to FrameFest that it really sunk in that all of the numbers that I look at are actual people, like they're people that watch it. And that was a really humbling experience because I go and shoot weddings and people recognize you at weddings, and that's fine. Like you get, it's Adelaide. I'm used to it in Adelaide. Like in Adelaide, if you know one person, 6 people. So getting recognized at a wedding isn't that uncommon. Even for people without a large follower base, getting recognized at a wedding in Adelaide, not that uncommon. Like you'll be like, oh, you were the photographer for so-and-so's wedding, or so-and-so, you went to this school, that means X, Y, and Z. That's not uncommon. So being recognized at weddings, people being like, oh, I've seen your videos, that's fine. That's nothing that I'm not too unused to. Disused to? Not too unused to. That is not something that I'm unused to. That is not something that that is not something, oh fuck, I can't even figure it out now. Anyway, being recognised at a wedding here in Adelaide, pretty common thing. Everybody gets it because it's Adelaide. So I go to weddings, I shoot them, I come back, and I literally just sit here in my dark studio with my spicy music on, and I just edit videos, I edit behind the scenes videos, I occasionally make like YouTube videos and that sort of stuff, and I don't ever really talk to anybody, like I don't have a big social life, like I've got young kids, so we just kind of hang out at home. I have my home life, I have my work life, I have my studio, and it's just like that's all I really do. And it wasn't until I went into FrameFest and people were like asking me for photos that it kind of weirded me out, in that I forget that numbers are people, and the people that watch everything are real, like you have conversations on Instagram, all that sort of stuff. But it really took me back at how many people actually watch my shit. And that was wild, absolutely wild. I genuinely reckon I took like 300 selfies over that weekend between Saturday and Sunday. And just like having fucking ripper conversations and stories with people, and giving actual advice to people, people like trying to start marketing their business, or they were just trying to get into wedding photography, or people that, even just people coming up and telling me that watching one of my videos made them be able to be themselves online, was crazy, absolutely crazy. Because I don't really put that much thought into trying to be influential or trying to be insightful. It's not like I'm trying to be a fucking motivational speaker that goes and tells you like, you can do anything that you set your mind to. You can, I'm not bringing out books on achieving your goals. I'm not trying to put out content that encourages people to be themselves, but it's kind of happening that way natively, which is sick. It's just it just means I get to be myself all of the time. Because I don't think I could ever do that. I don't think I could ever be that person that stands up on a stage and is like, you can do anything you set your mind to. You can achieve all of your goals if you work hard enough. Like, just seems a bit salesy. But anyway, just being able to have these conversations with people and actually be able to talk with real people, give them actual tangible advice on how to better their business or how to help it, or was great. Loved it. Loved every single little conversation that I had. Everything that I did. Everything on the Saturday was fucking great, working with Canon and like running around and filming behind the scenes stuff and trying to weasel in some of my more inappropriate comments, but whilst working under the restrictions of having to be corporate Josh. That was great. Loved that. That was a lot of fun. Leo and the boys at Canon were great. Super fun to hang out with. Beautiful. I actually wrote notes for this episode. I don't often write notes for Tog Talk. I normally just speak off the cuff, but did actually write some notes. My first note is lots of people. And there were lots of people. There were literally, I think there was over 1,000 people over the 2 days that came through. And that was great. I do think, and a few people told me this as well about FrameFest, and I think this is the first one they've hosted, so it's only, you can only get better. There were a couple of teething issues, which I do have written down here, but there were a couple of teething issues that I'm sure they can figure out and fix. Lots of people complained about the audio from the classes, which is always going to be a thing because it was in like a warehouse, so it's really hard to get solid audio in a warehouse because the sound's just going to reverb. They did fix it on the second day. The second day was heaps better. For those of you that only went for the Saturday, the Sunday audio was really good compared to what you had. And people asked to do like photo walks and stuff as well. And I think that would have been sick, going on like photo walks and having some educators actually take people out and take photos. They did have some like booths and stuff set up. So I'm sure like if you look at Tash's Instagram account, I think Antonio posted some. I didn't actually even bring a camera. I didn't even bring a camera to the whole weekend, but they've posted some photos from FrameFest where they did have like booths set up inside, so you could take photos and, you know, you could go and get hands on with some cameras, and they had a couple of little like cinematic workshops. They brought a bus stop in and stuff to do some more moody stuff inside, which was pretty cool. But I think based on the conversations that I had, and most of the people that talked to me were wedding and event photographers because that's what I do, they would have benefited from like maybe getting a couple in and going on a walk and doing a little couple shoot or something along those lines, so that there was lots more tangible stuff there. But there was a lot of car photographers there and a lot of car photography speakers, and there were cars there as well. So it does kind of make sense. It was very broad. It was a very broad festival where there was like a food photography workshop. There was a greens photography workshop, all green stuff. Fuji was running that. There was the stage with speakers, and there was a plethora of speakers from all different industries. And it was like trying to fit everything into one convention rather than more of like a specialized convention. You know, like a WPPI is just like WPPI. Whereas this was like so much stuff. You know, Vin was there, and I'll talk about Vin in a second. But yeah, it was really spread out. But one of my major takeaways from FrameFest and from FrameFest in general, and I covered this yesterday because I went out for lunch with some friends here in Adelaide that are wedding vendors. But the community that was there was so good. So good. It was such a like thriving community, excited community. Everybody there was just like amped on creating something. They really just wanted to create. And people were like getting inspired to create little projects and stuff while they were there, which is so cool. So cool that just like being in a building will do that. And the ability of like, you know, major influencers like Ben from Light3 Optics and Mike from North Waters, and some of these other major influencers as well, just like walking around the space and being able to interact with people was so cool. Like that's things that doesn't happen very often. It's not very often that you can put all of these people into the one room and the fans and stuff can go and meet people that they otherwise may have never had the opportunity to speak to, or meet people that they've only ever seen online, and bring friendship groups and stuff together. Like that's where I met Tash from Dawn Photography for the first time. We've spoken online a bunch, and we had some workshops and stuff lining up, but it was just a great place that you could like meet someone that you've never spoken to before in the flesh, you know? So that was great, being able to bring people from all over Australia together, because I came up from Adelaide, Tash and Antonio from Queensland, and Mike is now in Victoria, and we were all able to be in the one place at the one time. Same with like North Waters, Mike and Ben. Just like getting all these big major creators into the same space. Will from It's Will as well. It was crazy. And then people just being able to like come up and speak to people that they admire or acknowledge or watch was great. Like it's such a cool feeling. I don't know how to explain it. Without being there, it's hard to explain how cool of a feeling it is to like bring all these people together. And this really is heightened by the Sydney creative community, I noticed while I was there, because it's in Sydney. So a lot of these creators and a lot of these people are all from Sydney. It was very Sydney based. But the Sydney creative, Sydney creatives, the Sydney creating community were so, at least from an outsider's perspective, like me looking in, they were so supportive of each other. You know, like it looked like they were a really tight-knit little community of some fucking wicked creatives all coming together, helping each other out, making sure that everybody was like learning and like seeing creators from all different industries coming together. And you could tell they're all from Sydney, and there must be like a Sydney Creatives Facebook group or a Sydney Creatives group chat or something. But watching them all sort of mingle and kind of know each other, even though they're from different spaces, is something that you would never really see. I don't think there'd be many places in the world that could do that. That you could get creatives and get people from all different industries, you know, people with millions of followers and people with thousands of followers and people with hundreds of followers, all in the same space, all talking, all mates. And it seems like that's very big in the Sydney creative community, which is fucking wild. And that's amazing. It's something that I guess there's not really that many people from Adelaide that sort of make it out of the Adelaide bubble. Maybe that's what it is. You know, you've got Vin, it's Vin, and there are a couple that sort of make it out. But everybody that sort of makes it anywhere notable in Adelaide sort of leaves, don't they? They all kind of just go somewhere bigger, like a Sydney or a Melbourne or maybe even... probably not Queensland. But anybody that kind of makes it leaves Adelaide. And maybe that's the issue. Maybe Sydney's just kind of where it happens because it's a bigger city. Maybe that's why it doesn't actually happen here. But anyway, FrameFest, it was great mingling with people. It was great being around people that I would otherwise never sort of be in front of, and being able to have those communications and all those conversations and that communication with just like people that have seen my videos. That was fucking wild. That's great. Thank you if you're listening. Thank you if you've seen a single one of my videos. Thank you for watching those. I am now trying to be far more aware of the fact that not everything is numbers and there's actually people behind them. But I got to interview Vin, which was great. I'm pretty sure his thing, it's Ask Vin. Yeah, Ask Vin. Vin Yang. Vin Yang is an Australian entrepreneur, magician, and communication coach. Known for his engaging and insightful content on communication skills, he leverages his background in magic to teach practical communication techniques, particularly through his YouTube channel, Ask Vin. And that was great. 5.5 million followers on Instagram, 3.6 million followers on YouTube. And I got to interview him with Canon. They organised that for me, which is really cool. And one of my biggest takeaways from that, Vin is a communication coach. He is very good at communicating. That's his entire thing, is that he educates, and he educates people on how to fucking talk. No, he educates on communication, and that's everything that he sort of does. So one of my biggest takeaways from that, one of my biggest oh fuck, maybe we've actually got something here, was him saying nice things about me, which feels weird to take admiration from another. And to be completely honest, I didn't actually know who Vin was before I'd interviewed him. It's never come up on any of my stuff ever, I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong, but I wasn't actually sure who he was. I have now done a bit more research, but at the time I didn't really know. So to have him say really nice things about me and say nice things about how I'm good at communicating and how I know when to stop and when to add my 2 cents into a joke, and my comedic timing was good, actually made me feel really nice inside. It's not something I thought would happen. That's not something I ever sort of anticipated needing to hear from somebody. You know, like, I don't need people to tell me that I do a good job. I believe I have enough self-confidence that I trust my abilities to do a good job. But yeah, it felt nice kind of having him say those things to me. It made me feel good in my belly. And just kind of reiterated that, like, I do like talking to people. I just really, really like. I really, really like talking. But I do actually like talking to people, and interviewing someone did feel good, felt kind of natural. It felt really nice to interview somebody in person. In-person and online interviews are very different things, aren't they? And that's what I'm noticing. Like, yes, as much as and I'm very blessed that I have so many friends in the industry from all around the world, and we all do crazy things. And you know, spent 2 hours on the phone with Summer, and I may be on the phone with Andrew this afternoon. But in-person interviewing was a bit more challenging, but it was nice to kind of get that admiration. So I'm not saying maybe you should go out and seek admiration, but I feel like if somebody gives it to you, because normally I'm the kind of person, and let me know if you're the same, but I'm the kind of person that as soon as somebody says something nice to me, I push it aside and I'll just make a shit joke, or I'll say, you know, anytime somebody comes up and says like they like my videos or something, I'm always like, don't worry about it. Like, blah, 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 you know, push them away. Love your photos. Don't worry about it. Like, anybody can do it. So what I'm saying is, maybe if you're one of those people that doesn't take admiration well and you don't take compliments well, maybe just try to take one on. Now, fucking way easier said than done. Took somebody with millions of followers to tell me that what I said was nice to make me feel good, but maybe try to take it on. Might make you feel good. Maybe it won't. Maybe to give you a big head. But anyway, last little points on FrameFest. I got the opportunity to meet somebody that I've watched for ages, which was sick, in Mike from North Borders. That was fucking cool. It felt fun being like that, a little fangirl moment again. You know, when you meet someone in real life that you've watched online for ages. I've watched a lot of his videos on YouTube and stuff, so it was cool to have that sort of moment. Absolutely wild that I'm in the space, that I'm even part of the conversation now. That's fucking silly, isn't it? But yeah, that was such a cool moment, being able to just like see someone you watched online. That was always fun. And I got to meet Ben from Life Through Optics as well. It's great watching all these people in Australia doing such a great job, and really like pushing boundaries of what Australian creators can kind of do and where Australian creators can go. There's not that many big Australian creators, so it's sick watching this little community that we have really try to push that envelope. Then I flew home. Flew home from FrameFest. Flew home from FrameFest. That was 2 days of fucking like 12 hours a day, non-stop talking, non-stop engaging, really, really, really pushed my social battery to its limits, to the point that I was like losing my voice and all this sort of stuff as well, because I've been talking for so long. From there, flew back to Adelaide. I was literally in Adelaide for 2 days. I was here for 2 days, took my daughter to school for 2 days, because I try to do that every day, or at least as much as physically possible, because I like to be around, and because I'm not really here on the weekend. So came back, I was literally in Adelaide for 2 days, packed my bags, caught an absolute stinker of a red-eye flight from Adelaide to Sydney. That was me waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get to the airport. Up at 4 to be at the airport by 5. And that was just the worst. But we did it. We got there, flew in, landed at 7:30. I think I landed in 7:30, 8 o'clock. And that was a hard one. That was a hard thing to do. But we landed there and that was great. I was in Sydney again and we were ready for Camp Photography. So Camp Photography, for those of you that didn't see it on stories or anything, is a 4-day photography workshop hosted in Australia, hosted in Sydney by Mike Jeffrey. And that was absolutely not what he told me it was going to be. The way that he described it to me and the conversations that we'd had in the lead up was that it was a cool 4-day relaxed photography camp where we'll sit around a fire, we'll tell some stories, we'll play some games, and then at the end we have a big workshop day and we'll do a lot of work, and it'll just be this nice somehow I use that word and I'm trying to use it in a sentence but I don't really know what it means. This nice soothing moment where a nice soothing moment, you know, where you just relax for a couple of days, debrief, no internet reception, just hang out with some other photographers and talk photography. And that is not what happened at all. It was bedlam. Nah, it was actually fucking sick. It was a fucking ripper little weekend, but it was actually like there was just so much to do. And I feel like we could have been there for 2 weeks and still not have said or has taught as much as we wanted to do. And this is where it's kind of, I love being in the same room as Mike, but also it's really hard for me and Mike to get in the same room because we're both so sort of like ambitious with how much we want to do and say and how much we can try to fit into like a day. Because we had like drove in, then we went out and did an astro class, which was great. If you're listening to this or watching this, pause it right now or just do it while I'm talking and search up Red Imagination Visuals, Red Imagination Photos, hang on, let's bring it up on Instagram right now. His name's G. He's probably one of the best educators. Red Imagination Adventure. Red_Imagination_Adventure on Instagram. If you're watching the video, that is his video there. He's just, I reckon he's one of the most underrated educators that we have in the space. Doesn't get the accolades that he deserves. His knowledge is next level. Like the amount of stuff he knows is fucking incredible. He was like, we went out and did an astro class and he hosts astro workshops. So that's not too uncommon for him to host an astro workshop. And just like his framing and his off-camera flash for astro and his knowledge of where the Milky Way was and the apps that he uses to help him and timing and anything. If you see an astro workshop from him, I highly suggest you do it. Even if you don't want to be an astrophotographer, like I don't have any interest in being an astrophotographer. I've tried astrophotography in the past and I've taken some astro photos and I've taken photos of the fucking stars and went out to the Flinders Ranges and I took a nice photo of a wagon once that had stars in the background. But just like being in his presence and having him like teach you how to do it just made that process like so much easier. And he was able to actually like walk you through the settings and it was great. He taught so much in like an hour-long class and I admittedly had not had enough sleep to take in all the information on the first night. But that was great. Like turned up on the first day, got to meet everybody, meet and greet, and then we went out and did an astro class. We actually had a couple for the astro class too, so we got them to stand underneath the stars, which was sick. Biggest negative about the first day, and it's completely out of everybody's control, is that when we were taking the photos, it was 0 degrees outside. It was literally freezing point as we were walking back inside. Like the ground was freezing around us. The girls in their Ugg boots, like the Ugg boots were freezing over. Absolutely bitterly cold, to the point that there was a point there that I thought my thumb was going to fall off, because it was so cold that my thumb physically was like throbbing with pain. And instead of doing anything about it, I just kind of sucked on it for a little while to get some heat in there. But it was probably at least 2 minutes of me sucking my thumb before I got any heat back into it. And that was even after using photography gloves. But the couples, Jack and Marnie, for the first night, did such a good job. Such a good job. They literally just stood in the cold while everybody figured out their settings. But in being at a photography workshop and being one of the educators, even though I was in the class because I really wanted to learn how to take astro photos, it felt really, really good being able to physically help people with their cameras. And it reminded me of why I actually do like educating. I did say the whole workshop, I reckon every day of that workshop, I told people that I wasn't an educator. I'm just a wedding photographer. I'm not an educator. I'm just a wedding photographer. I'll always be a fucking wedding photographer. I'm not going to be an educator. But I did really enjoy helping people with their cameras. And actually just being able to like go through settings with people and teach them what settings you should be using and how I have my cameras set up. And I was learning things at the same time. And another great point about workshops is that even us, the educators, have got stuff to learn. Like Red taught me so much. So much. But yeah, I really enjoyed being able to physically help people, especially on that first day, because my social battery had been recharged after 2 days, and then I was back. Social battery was back. First day of camp photography, great success, lots of fun. Second day of camp photography was also another great day. Pretty sure the second day, so we got there on Thursday. Friday, I had a class, which was fun. I do enjoy teaching classes. So I actually did a class on wedding photography business basics and how to start your wedding photography business properly and how to start getting some actual eyes on your brand and start some free marketing techniques and all this sort of stuff, so that you can actually start getting some attention on your brand rather than just posting into the void that is social media. So that was fun. My goal with all of the classes that I run, no matter where I am, is to kind of shake things up a little bit. I want to rustle your foundation so that you actually think about things rather than just coasting through life thinking you've done everything properly. And I think we did that. I think we managed to not ruffle feathers, but actually get people to start thinking about their brands and start thinking about their businesses in a way that they maybe otherwise wouldn't have been thinking about it. So that felt good. That felt good to do that. Is Summer in here? So second day, ran my class. That was sick. There was just a little bit of a technical difficulty there where Summer just kind of entered the podcast randomly. So I've cut that out. But did my class on the second day. That was great. Loved that. Shook up some feathers. Not shake up feathers, but like I just want to, like I said, shake your foundation so that you're actually thinking about your business in other ways. And I say it a lot in my classes and I say it a lot when I teach people in person, but there is no right or wrong way to run your business. But I think people need to be getting opinions from all different sides rather than just looking at it one way and you take one person's, say, take me, for example, you take my advice and you copy everything that I do and you just try to carbon copy my business, that won't really work for most people. What works in my business may not work in your business. What works in your business probably wouldn't work in my business. So what I like to do is give my unfiltered opinion to people and then let them sort of make up their own mind and implement the things that they want to implement into their own lives. Most people won't actually, and I say this in the class as well, I'm like, I could hold your hand and teach you exactly how to run your business. I could hold your hand and teach you everything that I have done and everything that you could ever need. But 90% of people won't actually implement it. Like we talked about making videos for clients. We talked about how to properly structure a website. We talk about so much stuff, but so many people won't actually implement that. So there's no harm in giving out all of the information because a lot of people aren't actually going to implement it or do anything to sort of help themselves. What I do want is people to kind of take like one thing away from the class, like learn one thing and then you'll be okay. Take one thing away. Maybe you take away how to make your website a little bit better. Maybe you take away making videos for clients. Maybe you take away rummaging in Facebook groups for leads. But just like one thing from the class, because I'll put out a lot of information. So if they can take one thing and run with it, then they're going to be at least one step ahead where they were when they started. That's all I want in life. Is people to listen to a little bit. But yeah, second day was great. We did some more couple shoots in the afternoon on the second day. That was super fun. We went out to these rocks. Again, it was absolutely freezing, but the Sams were fantastic. We had Sam and Samuel. They came out on the rocks. If you've been on Instagram, I think I've posted some photos from there. I posted a reel with the photos from there. I used one of the Nikon cameras, actually, the Z8 and the 51.2, and I actually quite enjoyed it. That was fun. Really enjoyed that shoot. Again, workshop shoots aren't really how I work. There's a lot more, stale posing. A lot more stable. No, what's the word, Josh? When someone stands still for a long time. Still posing. A lot more that word where people don't move. Whatever that is, there's a lot more of that posing. Still, I will say still. There's a lot more still posing where the couple stays in the one position for longer than I would probably like to have them there, which is fine. It does give new photographers time to make sure their settings are in. And it also gives proper time to educate. And the same thing happens. There's no real in between here at workshops. If you've ever been to a photography workshop, you'll probably know this, but the classes either don't do anything. So you go to a posing workshop and the educators are like, are there any poses or anything you want them to do? And no one really says anything. Or you'll go to a workshop and one of the people just decides to take over even though they're not an educator. And then it's kind of a bit weird for everybody involved. But there's no in between. So there's kind of a lot of still moments where, the educators themselves. So Mike ran this class and he did a great job. But what educators will do is they'll set the couple up in a pose. And this is how I run mine anyway. So I'm just presuming other people are similar. But you put the couple in a pose and that sort of stuff, and then you leave a little bit of a break, one, so that people can get their photos. But you're also kind of hoping that in that, maybe some of the students will take some initiative or take the opportunity that's in front of them to pose it a little bit better. There was still the same issues but it was actually, because we were outside and we had so much room, it actually wasn't as bad as I experienced. Now, some of the students may tell me otherwise, but normally when you're at a workshop, you are fighting people for the photos. Set up the couple, 10 people in the workshop, everybody goes to the exact same spot and tries to take the exact same photo. And what people need to do more is, one, think outside the box without getting into other people's photos. Think outside the square, but also just get the fuck out of the way. Once you've got your photo, and this is what I was doing and I was telling people, and I was by the Saturday when my social battery was gone, I was not as nice as I probably should have been, but get out of the way. Take the photo and get out of the way. Take a photo, get out of the way. I think I was saying take the photo and fuck off. I was counting clicks, like click, 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 fuck off, click. Because you don't need 25 to 30 photos of the exact same pose from the exact same position. You know, you don't need to sit like this. If you're watching the video, you'll see me. Otherwise, you won't. Sit like this and take 25 photos and not move for 5 minutes. You can actually be in there. You only need to be there for 5 seconds, maybe. Get a couple of photos, and then somebody else can come in and they can get photos. That way you can keep the shoot moving, and you can actually keep taking photos, and you can keep posing the couple, and you only get that pose for 5-10 seconds, but you'll actually get a plethora more images and a plethora of more poses because you're actually able to move the couple constantly and you're actually able to keep going. So it's hard because I know people are trying to get the most content possible, and the best way to get the most content possible is to kind of keep moving and keep churning through. But that's where you need the people that attend a workshop. So maybe that's you here if you're listening to this, if you're attending a workshop. A lot of the educators will want you to take a little bit of initiative and maybe do a pose or two, or like move them a little bit, but not move them from like one side of the venue to the other or something like that. But yeah, Friday was great. It was just the camp attendees. So at Camp Photography, you stay on site, and we all stayed together. So I think there was 12 of us all together, boys' house and a girls' house. Then we come back, had tea and all that sort of stuff. That's great. So is being able to like sit down with the photographers afterwards as well. And we all had tea together, and we would eat together and then wake up, and then all be there for breakfast and stuff. It does mean that as an educator and somebody who is generally an introvert, like I'm very extroverted online and I'm very extroverted at weddings and stuff, but in my day-to-day life, I do like to be kind of introverted. It did mean that I wasn't able to ever fully charge my social battery again. And that had a lot to do with the fact that me and Mike stayed up until like 2 o'clock in the morning drinking red wine. But then we woke up on the Saturday, big workshop. That's the big day. We had I think there was like another 20 photographers that came in just for the day. There was 3 couples, 4 couples. There were people there, hair and makeup, wedding dresses, elopement spaces set up. I did couple shoots. So I was just in charge of posing and interacting with clients and making sure that they had a good time. Tash was working and doing all of like behind the scenes stuff and how to get the best behind the scenes content and making sure that content is everything and learn how to take like just fucking content and stuff. She did all that. And then Mike was doing flash photography because he loves flashing people. So doing all of that. 3 classes at the same time, and then you would rotate. We worked with the same couples, but it worked great. That means by the end of it, my couple were so good. We had Katie and Jacob. Fuck. But they were so good by the end of it. They were ready to pose. They even got to the point that they were like telling the workshop attendees to pose them more. They were like, you get your money's worth. Like, you've paid to be here. Make sure you get some good photos. And that was great. And then we broke for lunch, had a big lunch, ate heaps, and then we did another class, and I taught hybrid photo and video, which I didn't think would do as well as it did. I didn't think people would get as much out of the hybrid photo video class as they did. I didn't realize people wanted to hear it. I didn't realize that was a thing that people wanted. But apparently they did. Apparently they really liked the hybrid photo video class. But yeah, I didn't realize people would get as much out of the hybrid photo video class because it's just something that I've always done. Like, I've always done photo and video. I've always done hybrid coverage. So hearing people get heaps out of it and really, really enjoy it made me feel good and made me think that maybe I should be like teaching this more. I learned it from Taylor Jackson and watching some other videographers, and then kind of made my own version. But yeah, maybe I should be teaching it more because we've got our own systems that we do and our own way of doing it. Very similar to Taylor's. But yeah, I walked out right at the end, I walked out and I heard one of the students, Jazz, saying that the best class that she attended was my class. And that was fucking so good. That made me feel good. Again, this is just a whole episode about me feeling good, which doesn't happen very often. So that was great. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed working with everybody. Then we went back and drank all of the wine, Woodstock wines. They really looked after us. Fucking Olivia really, really went above and beyond for us. So thank you, Olivia. Thank you, Woodstock Wines. Thank you very much, Lee. But then we went and drank wine and just had a fucking great time. And then on the Sunday was the long drive back to the airport. The 3.5 hours back to the airport was way, way longer on the way back than it was on the way there. On the way to the workshop, everybody's in like a fucking stellar mood because it's like, you know, what are we going to do? We're going to learn. Yeah. By the end of it, everybody was a little bit hungover, very tired. Long drive back to the airport. And then we were done. But yeah, in workshops, and then like, so if you're listening to this and you've never been to a photography workshop before, if you're thinking about attending a photography workshop, my best tips for getting the most out of a wedding photography workshop is to try to think differently to everybody else there. Everybody else there is probably at a similar level to you in the terms of their knowledge and their experience. So they're all going to kind of do the same thing. It's a real not sheep, kind of like a herd almost, where everybody kind of does the same thing and then they all sort of move together. So if you can separate yourself from that herd, if you can separate yourself from that environment and get different photos. I was screaming it at the top of my lungs during the sessions. Every single session I was saying, shoot high, shoot low, shoot wide, shoot close. Shoot high, shoot low, shoot wide, shoot close. And I would pause people mid-workshop and I say, everybody stop, leave your cameras exactly where they are. And everybody was taking their photos at the exact same focal range. Well, not focal length, like height. They were all the same distance away from each other. They were all shooting from the exact same height. So when they go home and post the photos, everybody's photos are going to look exactly the same. So this is what's happening with wedding photography in general, is that everybody's buying, again, I don't want to shit on the 28 to 70s and stuff, but they buy these like lenses that do everything and then take the exact same photos as everybody else and then post them and then try to make themselves a little bit different. Whereas if you can just kind of break out of that thinking just a tiny, tiny bit, how can you make your experience a little bit different to everybody else's? It's going to be the difference maker in being booked and not being booked, or being seen and not being seen. We talked about it heaps in the beginners class as well, about how to make yourself different in this sea of photographers. There's a sea of people out there that have gone to Best Buy or JB Hi-Fi or whatever and bought a wedding photography camera, or they've gone and bought, you know, a 24 to 70 or a 50mm lens or something, and they're all trying to make it in the same space. So what can you do that separates you that little bit more than everybody else, and make it your own? But it's been an absolutely chaotic couple of weeks. Absolutely chaotic. The hardest part about the camp photography was the no internet, and not for the reasons that you think, like, oh, I couldn't doom scroll on Instagram or anything. It was more just like basic communication skills were gone because we were on SOS only, and the internet only worked if you were in the kitchen. So just even little things like talking to my kids and stuff made it hard. checking emails. Wasn't able to check emails for essentially 2 weeks. That all made it a little bit difficult, but yeah, workshops, whole kettle of fish there. I think I might do another episode on why wedding photography workshops aren't worth it for educators currently, because you do a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of risk. It's a lot of stress. It's a lot of planning. And at least in Australia, there's no real financial gain in these. You only get the gain of making yourself feel better and feel nice and helping the community, which is great, but it's very hard to pay bills that way. Anyway, again, I thought this was going to be a short episode, but it's not. But I now need to go and pick up my daughter from school. So if you are still here, just let it be known that I really, really fucking love you. I really appreciate everything that you motherfuckers do for me. Whether it's liking a video, sharing a video, whether it's just like a stupid reply to one of my Instagram stories, I fucking love every second of it. The fact that this audience just keeps growing is wild. It's absolutely wild. I love it. I'm actually really enjoying this now. I remember, now that I was saying goodbye, but I'm fucking here again. I've had another idea. I remember when I first started Tog Talk, the first time I did it, and the whole thing was like, oh, you've got a following now, you need to start a podcast. You know, that's what you do. You just get a following, you start a podcast. And I did it for the wrong reasons. And that's why I tried to be like a real educational thing. And I tried to be me being like, oh, I'm superior because I've got followers and I'm just going to educate people all the time. And it just didn't feel right. But this time, like, I'm actually excited about it. I'm excited about talking. I'm excited about being unfiltered. I'm excited about just staying true to fucking everything that we're doing, which goes right back to like everything that happened at FrameFest and just our business perspective in general at the moment. We're going right back to staying true to who we are as people. And yeah, it's been fucking great. It's been a wild ride. I've really enjoyed it. Again, thank you so much for making it this far in. I fucking love you. See you on the internet. Until we do it again, you've got Summer next week. She's fucking great. Maybe a solo episode after that. We'll figure it out. But love ya. Be good. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.